just because she refused to sleep with them. A girl was brutally shoved off a cliff, and the entire sickening murder was captured on camera by her best friend, Kelly. The sight of it made Kelly cry out before she could stop herself. The four psychopaths immediately began hunting her down. Kelly sprinted back to the camp, grabbed her climbing gear, and decided to scale the sheer cliff face to escape. She knew these men had no idea how to climb, but one of the killers came after her anyway. As Kelly scrambled upward in a panic, he reached up and grabbed her backpack. She kicked him straight off the rock face. The others below erupted in a furious roar. Kelly ignored them and kept pushing herself upward. Then, out of nowhere, a venomous snake began slithering toward her bare hand. Kelly froze, too terrified to move a muscle. By some miracle, the snake glided right past her fingertips, and she barely escaped with her life. Meanwhile, the remaining three killers geared up and started climbing after her. Watching them close in, Kelly chalked her sweaty hands and kept going. But then she hit a dead end. The rock face ahead was completely vertical, smooth as glass. She was trapped. In that desperate moment, she spotted an old climbing rope left behind by someone else, connected to a sturdy hanging tent. She tore open her backpack with her teeth, pulled out a thin wire, and bent one end into a hook. The rope was 6 feet away. She reached out, snagged it precisely, slowly reeled in the wire, and finally got a firm grip on the rope. Then she threw herself forward with everything she had, swung across the gap, and pulled herself up to the next ledge. But the nightmare was far from over. The three killers had already circled around to the top of the cliff.
Is that you, Kelly?
When she heard them calling out, Kelly held her breath and went completely still. Once the noise above died down, she used the last of her strength to climb up and finally reached the hanging tent. She was completely spent. No strength left to go any further. She dropped her pack and caught her breath. From the top of the cliff, one of them called down.
All we want is that camera. You tie the camera to the rope and nobody's gonna get hurt, okay?
A rope dropped down from above, but Kelly knew the truth. The moment she handed over that camera, she was dead. She tied a note covered in insults to the rope and gave it a gentle tug. The killers above yanked it up eagerly, only to find a message full of mockery and profanity. They exploded with rage and completely lost their minds. As night fell completely, Kelly carefully crawled into the hanging tent. She had just closed her eyes to rest when a heavy backpack stuffed with rocks came crashing down from above, slamming straight into her head. After several brutal impacts, Kelly was knocked out of the tent. She barely saved herself by grabbing onto the railing, but the blows kept coming. With no other choice, she grabbed onto the backpack itself. When the killers felt the rope go taut, one of them leaned over to look, seeing Kelly clinging to the backpack. He immediately pulled out a knife and cut the rope. Kelly reacted instantly, grabbed the rock face again, and survived. She clawed her way up to a ledge, nearly completely drained, and crawled into the tent to rest. She had barely fallen asleep when a noise outside jolted her awake, and then a knife came stabbing through the tent wall. One of the killers had quietly rappelled down to ambush her.
I've got you now. Where's the camera? Give it to me! Where's the camera?
With the man pinning her down, Kelly had no choice but to tell him the camera was in her pack. While he dug through it looking for the camera, Kelly grabbed a sharp object and drove it hard into his thigh. He howled in pain and tumbled out of the tent. Kelly fell out with him, but managed to grab onto his waistband just in time. Hearing his screams, the two men at the top frantically hauled the rope up. Kelly used that moment to throw the nearly lost backpack back into the tent, but the second she was pulled up, another killer grabbed her by the hair. To break free, Kelly